The secret to winning in today's college football, when your offense sucked last year, is to port a whole offense from somebody else. Or I'll revise that. Port a whole ass offense from somewhere else.
Making it better.
Two games this weekend where you will get to see whether this is a great strategy or just a merely good strategy. This is the College Football Enquirer. I am Andy Staples. He is Ross Dellenger. He is Steven Godfrey. You can see us all in bright living color because I know a lot of you like to listen to us. But if you want to expand your horizons, if you want to see just how beautiful Godfrey's sport coat actually is, go to the Yahoo Sports Network. It is available on all free ad-supported television services. So basically, you turn on your smart TV, you see all those icons, click the icon for the Yahoo Sports Network, and click the College Football Enquirer. Also, you want to watch us wherever you are, any time of day or night, on your tablet, on your phone. Go to yahoosports.tv, and you can watch the College Football Enquirer. And gentlemen, we have to inquire quite a bit right now because there are coaching searches going on. It's week 4, and we've got coaching searches at power conference schools. UCLA and Virginia Tech fired their coaches. DeShaun Foster at UCLA, Brent at Virginia Tech, following embarrassing home losses to Group of 5 teams. It's not exactly the same thing, but it reminds me of a great quote I once got from Tommy Bowden. Tommy Bowden said the best advice he could ever give someone is never lose to Wake Forest on a Thursday night. Well, never lose to a Group of 5 team at home by multiple touchdowns is probably equally good advice. New Mexico put it on UCLA. Old Dominion put it on Virginia Tech. And that was that.
Yeah. Talking about him lost to Wake Forest on Thursday night and never had to work again. Not bad.
Actually, yeah. Sign me up for that.
It's not bad.
Be my 80. Yeah.
I visited him in his beautiful home in Destin on that bay, whatever that bay is called. It's a long name.
I fished in that bay. Good trout fishing in that bay.
He's got a pool in the back. He's got a boat. He's on a little canal that goes into the bay. I mean, it's not bad losing to.
So you're telling me to lose to definitely.
Yeah, that's right. Lose all you can.
Dave Doran just heard that and is like, whoo.
Yeah, there you go.
He almost did, but he didn't.
Dave Doran got to be a lake guy. You know this theory, right? I don't know if I brought it up on the show. It's got to be a lake guy. So you know
Lake or Beach. Yeah, lake guy.
Yeah, Lake or Beach. So my working theory is, and there are a couple exceptions. Defensive-minded or defensive coordinator background. You go to the lake because you want stillness and silence because your entire life has been occupied with responding to something.
Let me add one.
See, I said there are exceptions. All right, go.
No, not an exception. Ron Zook, also a lake guy, defensive guy.
Right. Okay.
Hyper competitive water skier.
I could totally. Well, yeah, the photos.
Mangled his leg one time water skiing. He's like, I'm getting right back up.
Yeah. Well, he should go to ULM then. National champions in water skiing, by the way.
I've seen that. It's amazing.
And then offensive guys, obviously, like you think of your Lane Kiffins, right? Love to create chaos, love the activity and the perpetual churn. They're beach guys. I've been working on this for years. So when I go to convention, when I still go to coaching convention, we'll do like happy hour and I'll just be like, oh, you're a beach guy, you're a lake guy. I'm like a 90% clearance on this. And it usually is offense defense.
Is Brent a lake guy? Is he headed to a lake now?
I feel like he needs a lake. I feel like he needs a lake right now. Maybe before he goes to the beach, I feel like he needs a lake.
So we all expected a busy season right after last year. I think we talked about it on the show back in August, and I thought maybe it would last longer than three weeks. I think last month the first firing was mid-October, so we've really accelerated, and it probably speaks to the 10, 12, maybe even 15 power conference jobs that could turn over. That was sort of the number that people were thinking. Last year was 4 or 5, I think. So we're going to have probably triple the amount. And we begin in Blacksburg in Los Angeles. Well, maybe not Los Angeles. What's it called?
Brentwood.
Westwood, not Westwood.
You're right. That's where OJ.
We don't know where UCLA
Westwood,
is.
Beverly Hills adjacent.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can tell I didn't grow up in those zip codes.
Brentwood is where OJ lived.
The first thing I want to talk about is actually this concept that got kicked around a couple years ago of like, it's really good because you get to be first to market. You get to be first to market. So let's take Virginia Tech, for example. One of the things that Whit Babcock told me when Frank Beamer retired was Frank wanted to help his program as much as possible. So when they announced his retirement, I want to say, guys, they did it maybe like late September of that year. I can't remember, but I know it was in season before the halfway point. The idea being that, hey, Virginia Tech had to find a new head coach. They didn't want to sneak around, especially on a legend, on a guy whose name should be on everything.
Well, they also had to break it gently to Bud Foster that it wasn't going to be him.
Yes, that's true. Lake guy.
Oh, yeah.
This idea has permeated over the years. The one that jumps out to me was I remember when Jared Banco, who's now at Auburn, who's the athletic director at Georgia Southern, he said, hey, when we made a move early in the season, it allowed us to get to Clay Helton first. I don't know what the market for Clay Helton necessarily was when he was fired from USC. But as a G5, they felt like, oh, we got out there, we could operate in the open. It's funny because I sort of worked that line of thinking with these two jobs in the agent community the last 2 days, and I got a very specific response. That is not the case right now. Because, Ross, you were correct. I think prevailing logic was in the new era with everything that's going on. I don't have to say this every time we talk about it. Do it. NIL, transfer portal, all that stuff. That we were going to be a little calmer because a 12-team playoff, guys, theoretically makes more teams, keeps more teams alive longer as you go through the season, right? So 2 losses is not a death sentence, all that kind of stuff. We talked about that too. In the case of both of these programs, it's very, very different. These programs, and I was told this basically unanimously, almost in concert, but in the agenting community, this is not about being first to market. Before you can logically look at a list. So I know there's lists out there and there's names and we can talk names if we want to, but I really, really feel like that's disingenuous because these programs have work to do to then go and figure out what
it's disingenuous, but it's good podcasting. Hold on. Michael Vick, John Gruden. There, I'm done. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, it's good click traffic things.
We're all paying mortgages.
Yeah,
we're all paying mortgages.
Pick that up, Google AI, where I said Michael Vick and John Gruden.
John Gruden, Michael Vick.
And we're throwing out listings of. Yes. And again, I know why we all do it, but it's a lot. But there's a big eye roll for a little bit here.
What's interesting this time is there's a real shift. It's not the program saying like, oh, we're first to market. We get to, hey, John Summerall, let's talk about Virginia Tech. Let's talk. No. These programs are being told by the reps of these sought after candidates, you got a lot of questions to answer. In the case of Virginia Tech, the AD Whit Babcock, who we're going to be really curious to see how involved he is or is not in this next search. Went in front of the Virginia Board of Visitors, I believe it's called. Kind of had a Jerry Maguire speech. I called it on the show a couple weeks ago about the state of Virginia Tech.
Resource me or fire me, basically, is what he said.
Yes, and a lot of agents have said that was really refreshing to hear because those are the questions we're going to ask when you come and say, hey, we want your A-tier guys. So before Virginia Tech and UCLA can go shopping, we don't really know what aisle they're going to shop from or what let's say, height of the shelf.
You brought up John Summerall at Tulane, whose name has been on every list really since he was at Troy. And he's not even on any of these lists. Like we've basically said, these jobs are
these
like he's going to get a better job than this.
He was on somebody's list for Virginia Tech and I just shook my head. No.
Correct. Yeah.
No.
I think he probably woke up Sunday morning and was like, and realized he wasn't on all the lists. And he's like,
Yeah.
I made it.
John Summerall's going to start showing up on lists when Southeastern Conference jobs open. I mean, this guy was made in a petri dish to be like Pat Dye 2.0 at a place like Auburn, who may not be hiring this cycle. But the idea of him leaving Tulane for very specific headaches in Blacksburg and, what did I say, Westwood, not Brentwood, are going to be, that would be an illogical move. But
him at UCLA would be the most absurd thing ever.
That would be great. Look, imagine. Look, he's had to shine it up a little bit just for Uptown New Orleans. Imagine him with the UCLA crowd.
Yeah.
This is not an insult to John.
He and Mick Cronin would get along just fine. Like
yes, they would.
But all right, Ross, I want to ask you this because Godfrey brings up an interesting point about the timing of all this. And I was going back and forth with athletic directors, agents in the offseason about how you time this up because the transfer portal opens for 30 days when you fire a coach. We've actually seen some Virginia Tech players say, I'm going to redshirt and hit the portal. And I was texting with a team doctor I know yesterday, And I said, are you ready for next week? And the person texts back, oh, yeah, you mean a lot of cases of game 4-itis? So because you can redshirt. And so you're going to see that, especially at places where they might fire the coach. And a lot of people said you can't fire before the players have played a 5th game because everybody's just going to dip out. I pushed back on that a little bit because if you haven't already redshirted, that's true. If you have redshirted, it makes no sense to not just play. So that's most of the players on the team have redshirted at one point, so they're going to play. But the other part of it is what advantage is there to doing this now versus waiting? Because I'm asking for lots of friends I have in Gainesville, Florida, who feel like something is inevitable, but they don't really know what the timing of the inevitability is going to be.
So what's the famous line from Jeremy Foley? If something
what must be done eventually must be done immediately, and it's actually a Henry Kissinger quote that Jeremy Foley borrowed. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think Godfrey mentioned it earlier, like you're able to kind of get out there in the open more, right? And work a little bit if you're an athletic director and hiring search firms, and you could start doing like the sort of the base of interviews or whatever you want to call it, right? Like just getting your pool of candidates a little more. But I don't know that it's a big advantage anymore in mid-September as opposed to mid-October or even early November. I'm not so sure that it really matters. I think the reason that these schools make these decisions ultimately this early is for fans. Like, get off my back.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's certainly what happened at Virginia Tech. I mean, it's
fans
clearly
with money.
Like, was that?
Fans with money.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, and just the hope, and this sort of happened when I covered LSU and they fired Les Miles 4 games or whatever, 5 games into the season.
The famous loser leaves town match with Gus Malzahn
in Auburn, right? And I think like one of the big reasons they did that is, man, we're not going to get anybody at our games the rest of the season if we don't do this. And lo and behold, right, they hired Ed Orgeron. They got a lot of people at their games. They won a lot of games, and they ended up hiring him because Tom Herman went to Texas. But I think that's also a reason, right? Is like not just fans get off my back, but fans, please come to the games and spend your money. Well, so I think it's more of that than anything.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this weekend with Virginia Tech specifically. It's the old Potter Stewart definition of obscenity. I know it when I see it. And when Old Dominion comes and just routs you in Lane Stadium, you've seen it.
Yeah. I've had athletic directors tell me before, I say, why then? Why this week? Why whatever? A lot of guys will just say, hey, if I didn't do it now, a month from now, when we have our homecoming game out of conference, we're going to have no one show up to the luxury suites. Like literally no one. We're going to have sub 20,000 attendance. So sometimes it's as immediate and local as filling the facility. Because you guys, we're in the entertainment business, right? Athletic directors are in the entertainment business. If the product is failing, look, it's not a perfect comparison. It's not, but it's close, Andy. Florida has lost games. They have lost faith in a coach they've had for a reasonable amount of time by SEC standards. But they weren't blown out by South Florida, okay? And they weren't blown out
by LSU.
Even with the 5 picks on the road, okay? Old Dominion, a nascent in-state G5 program coached by the head coach of Virginia Tech's like friend. They were on Franklin's staff together at Penn State and Vanderbilt for years. Beat your doors off is about the most PG way I can say it in every facet of the game. So the 2 things that ADs have told me before is, one, the facility is not going to work. Like, we're not going to get people in to see our entertainment product because they are going to reject it if I keep this head coach. And then 2, quit is a real concept. Especially any ADs with any athletic background, they always pride themselves on being able to like read a locker room and all this kind of stuff. But I have had guys say genuinely, I went in and I could see it on the sidelines, and I went into the locker room after the game. You could use New Mexico or ODU in this case and say, those guys quit. And the one that you hear all the time is, they were not listening to him. They were not.
Right.
He was not being able to. He was not able to reach them in that moment. And so those are often the deciding factors on like we got to do it in week 3 or we got to do it in week 5.
Yeah, and I go back. There have been a lot of examples over the years where maybe it went too long. Bobby Petrino's last year at Louisville was a prime one, and I'm trying to remember when they actually did it. I want to say it was the end of October or early November, but they could have done it 3 or 4 weeks earlier because it was clear that the team had quit. And I think that's a good point as we go roll to what's next, because as Ross said, we think a lot more of these jobs are going to come open. Florida seems like the most likely next one.
Mm-hmm.
But as you pointed out, Florida has not quit. They go to Miami this weekend. They play Texas after that. They play Texas A&M after that. So if they're still fighting in all those games, like you're probably going to fire Billy Napier if he's losing them. But as long as they don't quit, you probably don't pull the trigger.
Well, and here's another reason why I think you do it early is because the coach might actually go on a run and save his job, which you've seen plenty of time in our career.
Which Billy Napier,
you saw it Florida.
Which Billy Napier did last year.
But he didn't go on a run and save his job. They decided he was staying, and then he went on the run.
But you know what? The Gators certainly could do that this year. I mean, they're hanging around enough. They have enough talent. They could definitely do that this year.
I'll make the bold prediction. They're going to beat somebody who's considerably better than them in the next
over the next
6
like
games.
3 weeks.
Because that's pretty much all of their games.
Yeah,
fair.
Yeah, right.
Fair.
So if they win one, it'll be against somebody supposedly better than them. So yeah, it's a very tricky situation. The math on the Florida one's different, and I don't know if we've gotten too much into that on this show, but for those who don't know, last year it was a situation where Scott Strickland, the athletic director, Billy Napier, very much tied together. And a firing of Billy Napier probably meant the end of Scott Strickland as the AD. Maybe, maybe not, but it was a definite possibility. Plus, they were waiting to figure out who the president was going to be. Now they're still waiting to figure out who the president's going to be.
Yes.
They're on their second interim. Yeah. This interim gets $2 million if they don't get the full-time job by next year. So maybe this is going to be the permanent president. But in the meantime, Scott Strickland's basketball hire, Todd Golden, has won a national championship. And Scott Strickland has just engineered himself an unbelievable contract extension, 5 years of being the AD, followed by 5 years of a really nice emeritus position. So he's essentially worked out his exit strategy in advance. And he will get to hire Billy Napier's successor.
Yeah, thank you, Bubba Cunningham, by the way.
This must be
showing everybody the way.
Cunningham's, and now, and there's a lot more that's going on in these AD contracts. I think this is a lot of happening in a lot more places where they are replicating the 2, 3, 4 year retirement sort of. You can stay here and get paid, sort of thing. And it's a way. I think it's a way to like ease somebody into retirement. Like we know the end date. We know your end date is here.
Now, what's different about Bubba Cunningham and Scott Strickland is Bubba Cunningham did get usurped during the middle of their coaching search, which is why Bill Belichick coaches North Carolina, not John Sumrall.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to be the case at Florida. I think Scott's going to get to make the hire. And now I will tell you, if they fire Billy Napier, the fan base will riot if they don't make every effort to hire Lane Kiffin. I don't know if he'll take it, but if he's not top of the list, if he's not the first person they go after, they're going to riot.
Is he wanted the same way that people outside assume that he is? I'm talking about the actual decision makers, not the rank and file Florida fans.
That's the thing. That's the difference. Among the decision makers, the feeling on Lane was always, and I'll go back to when they fired Dan Mullen and we're going to hire Billy Napier.
Yeah.
The feeling on Lane was, no, we're above that. We're just kind of holding your nose, which Florida has always had a little bit of nose in the air regarding all this stuff.
Sure.
That is, from what I can tell, gone now. That attitude is gone. So I do think that they have come around on that idea, and that I would imagine an effort will be made. I don't know what he says, but again, they haven't fired Billy Napier yet. So I don't want to get too far ahead of that, because as you
Don't
guys
worry,
mentioned,
you'll be aggregated tomorrow for that comment.
I know. And
hey, shout out! Look, let's make friends real fast. Shout out to all the aggregators who are picking our quotes up on this show. It's
we
fine.
appreciate it.
Also, like I feel a little frustrated because some weeks I feel like I'm saying the most hyperbolic stuff, but then it's like one of y'all gets it. So just I like the aggregators.
Say the most hyperbolic stuff.
I can promise you, saying Florida fans will riot if they don't go after Lane Kiffin may sound hyperbolic. It is as someone who lives in Metro Gainesville, Florida, it is the most sane, rational statement a person can make.
The Metro part got me.
I don't have a Gainesville address. That's all I can say.
So who's next? By the way, I mean, if for power conferences, if I had to put money on it, it's in Stillwater.
Yes.
Right. So it's funny because I grabbed my handwritten list from week 0, and there are a couple that make absolutely no sense now after 3 weeks, and a couple that we felt good about. Oklahoma State was the one outside of the SEC specifically that felt like he's out of excuses. He used his excuse card up in the same way that Brian Kelly had that one bad year at Notre Dame. I'm not comping those two individuals. I'm just saying narratively, he was able to kind of flush out and say, well, this is the worst year I ever had, but I always bounce back. And if you look at his just look at his win-loss over the years, like they've waxed and waned to a degree, and he has come back stronger and better.
And this is the type of year that he always does bounce back.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen this time.
Sometimes you hire a D2 coordinator. I'm going to say it one more time. D2 coordinator. That was trickier than it should have been. And it works. And then sometimes you don't, and it didn't. And he hasn't had as much luck, or I don't know if it's luck or if it's just prowess with hiring the right assistants to turn things around. Portal-wise, it doesn't help. Like you can be Dabo and say a lot of inflammatory things about the portal, and then kind of tuck tail, turn around, revise, and get aggressive and right the ship. It doesn't help when you're Gundy and it looks like you're still not utilizing the portal correctly. You're not evaluating the free agency part of this. And all those comments from last season are out there to haunt you, which is what fed the whole Oregon beatdown. Like there's no good thing to sort of latch onto right now in Stillwater, even though we're talking about, a 1-1 football team?
Yeah. 1-1. They play Tulsa on Friday night. Now, there's one. This is an ODU Virginia Tech situation.
Absolutely.
Let's say Trey Lamb and Tulsa come in there and beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Even by 1, that is going to not go over well. Like the cheese fries at Eskimo Joe's will taste considerably worse after that.
College football's best golfer beat you in his 3rd game in the state.
He is.
He's college football's best golfer. Shout out.
Trey Lamb will take your money on the golf course. Yes.
Southern Hills. Yeah. Shout out.
So the Gundy one makes sense. Now I want to talk about a different game. Let's go a couple hours away to Norman, Oklahoma. Hugh Freeze versus Brent Venables, Auburn, Oklahoma. Before the season started, we thought this might be one of those really fraught games where the loser's in deep, deep trouble. Because they, like if Oklahoma had lost to Michigan and Auburn had lost to Baylor. But now I look at it like, and it's more just having seen these teams play even beyond those bigger games, they look incredibly competent, both of them. So now I look at this like, okay, the team that loses this game, if it's close, like they might still be a factor in the SEC race. They might still have a chance to make the playoff. I'm very much less worried about Hugh Freeze and Brent Venables.
Yeah, same. And there's a few of those, right? Like we came in with, hey, here's our like sort of hot seat list. And now a lot of these guys, are doing pretty well. Like for instance, not just those two, as you mentioned, Andy, but like Dave Doran, right, at NC State. They're 3-0. And I think, got a great QB. Brent Brennan at Arizona. They're 3-0. That was another one that sort of
Justin
folks
Wilcox
circles.
At Cal. Speaking of
Wilcox
having a QB, Kieran, Jaron Chiave Sangapolitelli. Jaron Chiave Sangapolitelli.
That was very nice. That was good.
Yeah.
The one that was on the other one, sort of like Napier and perhaps Gundy, that was on our list to begin the season and hasn't started great. And I'm fascinated by what's going to happen because the buyout is so big, is up in Madison.
Yes, Luke Fickell.
So, that was not. When I asked around this summer, that was right the ship this year, hot seat next year, if not. And now I'm starting to think that not just based solely on the Alabama game, that timeline might accelerate a little bit.
Yeah.
Because people are now trying. Go ahead. I was just saying, they're trying to contextualize.
We need to see more from Alabama before, because we're trying to decide if Florida State was an anomaly for Alabama and they're really good and that they just needed to get focused and now they're good. If Alabama goes to Athens next week and loses by 4 touchdowns, it actually will raise more questions about Luke Fickell. So if Alabama goes and beats Georgia, Luke Fickell can just be like, see, we lost a national title contender.
I think what bothers Wisconsin folks the most right now, from what I'm hearing, is that it's certainly not Saban's Alabama. To your point, we don't know what the valuation is, but it is still sort of the same old story. If you go back to Paul Chryst, which was Paul Chryst and every tendril or sort of branch off of the Alvarez tree would give you a respectable program that ran the ball, played good defense, and sent guys to the NFL, but was never going to be confused with a true conference championship contender or an elite helmet program. Wisconsin was always top tier, tier 2, right?
But the existence of the Big Ten West made that okay because you could be the best in the Big Ten West.
Certainly, again, things have changed, which I just feel like I'm just going to say that before every segment now. Things have changed because we're trying to create context and perspective over 5 and 10 years, but those 5 and 10 years have been so wild individually. But to go back to Wisconsin, just the Wisconsin of this, Luke Fickell was not the, hey, it's an Ohio State guy upgrade, and he's going to know how to comport, Wisconsin like an Ohio State. He hired the wrong OC, full stop. He hired the wrong OC in Phil Longo. They ran a system that did not work and actively hurt them on defense. From a personnel standpoint, they're not any more talented than they were under one of those previous guys.
That's where I'm going to push back on it being all about hiring the wrong OC.
Okay.
When Luke Fickell took the job, my assumption was they had presented to him, because he wasn't leaving Cincinnati except for something really good. My assumption was they said, we are going to give you the resources you need to go get the players you need. And now I don't know if this is Wisconsin not doing that or Luke Fickell not doing enough, but they don't have good enough players. I remember saying after his first year, just go buy better players. You're in the Big Ten, you're rich, buy better players.
But doesn't he have that Matt? But isn't that part of the kind of Matt Campbell issue we heard about a couple years ago, where it's like some guys are morally, they're slower to embrace pay for play because of a moral stance, an old school stance. I'm trying to be nice here.
I don't think that's Luke Fickell.
I don't think it's him 100%.
I remember having a conversation with Luke Fickell. This is like 3 years ago. And I think I've said this on the show before, actually, maybe on the previous show. But I remember Fickell told me that he didn't want, in order to avoid locker room disruption, every player got the same amount of NIL
Yeah, we
money,
talked about this.
like $5,000, right? And that was him. And that was like 3 years ago. But he does sort of strike me as kind of that guy. And that maybe that was an issue that's been a thing up there the last couple years.
If that's how you were going to approach it, why did you ever leave Cincinnati? Like, if you want
because
to
they were going to the Big 12.
But the thing is, if you want to go swim with the Sharks in the Big Ten, someone who worked at Ohio State
should know better.
Played at Ohio State.
Yes,
like you know what Ohio State's going to do.
Yeah, semi-pro. But I think he left because the Big 12 was coming for Cincinnati, and he didn't like the way Cincinnati fit in that picture. Which, in hindsight,
guess what? His version of Wisconsin doesn't fit in the Big Ten picture very well. So go buy better players or go somewhere else where the standards won't be as high.
The question is always should Fickell have waited, or should Notre Dame have waited for Fickell?
No,
I think they got the better person on that Cincinnati staff.
Yeah. Or of the last 5 years. I don't grade the hires when they happen. That might be the dumbest thing we do in sports media, is grading the hires when they happen.
That's pretty dumb.
We do a lot of dumb things, but
we do a lot of dumb things.
That might be the dumbest.
This is dumb.
But
is this dumb? Are we doing something dumb right now?
Absolutely, of course. But in the last 5 years, this is the hire I felt the most confident about that has turned out the worst.
Same here.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is not what I expected.
There was always a thought he was waiting for Notre Dame or Ohio State to open or one of those. And so he kind of, like, in a way, right, took just what was left out there And I thought, oh man, they got sort of
But
a
this
steal
could be
here.
a good job. I mean, Barry Alvarez and Brett Bielema have shown you the way.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
They've
Yeah,
shown
absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
They've the blueprint's there.
I'm just laughing because I remember when he's in Cincinnati, and I would talk to people, and they'd be like, "Look, dude, you know he's waiting on Notre Dame," and they're like, "He's got too many kids to not be waiting on Notre Dame. Like it's peak Catholicism." And I was like, "Yeah, he does have a lot of kids."
But and I asked that question, and I realized Notre Dame's at 0-2, but I actually am far more confident in Notre Dame turning things around than I am Wisconsin. What if it was Marcus Freeman at Cincinnati? I mean, he was the DC. He was the DC and the engine of the recruiting apparatus.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, what if it was Denbrock too? I mean,
right. And they're like both together at Notre Dame. So,
Desmond Ritter is a playoff quarterback. Like, I mean, it's it is interesting. There are a lot of coaches that look like the sum of their assistants, and that's okay because you're not tasked with being the most spotlighted person or the smartest guy in the room. You're tasked with hiring a good staff to do their job.
It is a superpower if you have great assistants, lose great assistants, replace them with great assistants. But there aren't many coaches who can do that.
No, it's just, and again, God, I don't want to compliment Brian Kelly 2 shows in a row, but like that is one of the things
Brian
that
Kelly apologized.
He did.
Yeah, he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have. I'm down.
It's okay.
This is a heel turn for me. Like
Brian Kelly, as someone who I think Brian Kelly finally understands the content creator universe because he gave us something on Saturday. He gave us something more on Monday.
He's back on the show.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
What will he do today?
He should not have apologized. He should have come out with a little. Is there a J school? No, there's not a J school at LSU. Is there?
Yeah, there is.
There is.
Okay,
my bad.
Yeah, right next to the stadium.
I don't want to hear about it. I'm sorry. Anyway, bring somebody in from the J school and just be like, "Hey, look, that question sucked. Let's coach you up." That's what we should have done. We should have just done 5 minutes.
20-year veteran TV report.
Ask a better question. Ask a better question.
It was a good question asked at the wrong time. I'll die on that hill.
All right,
Gentlemen.
Well, don't run the ball on 3rd and 18.
We've talked about coaches who've gotten fired or might get fired. Now we're talking about the coaches that are doing pretty well, that may have been facing some issues, but have solved those issues potentially, not by going out and getting just a quarterback out of the portal, but by getting an entire offense out of the portal. Let's talk about that when we come back. Welcome back to the College Football Enquirer, where we're going to talk about Steven Godfrey's new favorite phrase. I didn't know when I said it before the show started that it would become his new favorite phrase. But yes, the secret to winning in today's college football, when your offense sucked last year, is to port a whole offense from somebody else. Or I'll revise that. Port a whole ass offense from somewhere else.
Making it better.
Two games this weekend where you will get to see whether this is a great strategy or just a merely good strategy. Oklahoma-Auburn, where Oklahoma grabbed Ben Arbuckle as its new offensive coordinator from Washington State, and he brought his quarterback, John Mateer. They look pretty awesome so far offensively. Another huge game. This is going to be at 10 a.m. local time in Salt Lake City, noon on Eastern time. The time zone the world moves on. Texas Tech at Utah. So Utah brought Jason Beck, not to be confused with Tim Beck, who also worked in New Mexico, who also is not to be confused with the other Tim Beck, who used to work at Nebraska and Ohio State, and now is the head coach of Coastal Carolina, who we probably should have mentioned in the last segment because he's probably going to get fired after getting shut out by East Carolina. Okay,
he's
back to Jason Beck. Sorry, this is the audience I know can appreciate that little rabbit hole. But Jason Beck was the coordinator at New Mexico last year. He is now the coordinator at Utah. He brought with him Devon Dampier and also their leading receiver to Utah's offense, where I don't know about you guys. I don't know how closely you followed Utah throughout the Kyle Whittingham era, but Utah offensive coordinator, really till Andy Ludwig got it this most recent time, was basically Spinal Tap drummer. You could essentially burst into flames at the end of your first year. There was no guarantee of anything.
It was a highly unsafe position, and before the calming, dulcet tones of Andy Ludwig from Vanderbilt. How much live Utah has anyone watched so far in the crush of the first?
Yeah, what's some Wyoming? clips of
slow starter
Dampier,
game. Slow starter.
Yeah, very slow starter. It led 3-0 at halftime. But look, Dampier did what he did last year in New Mexico, right? Did you guys see the play where he did on the goal line? He dropped the ball, he fumbled, picked it up, and then he immediately threw a touchdown to like a covered receiver in the corner of the end zone.
He's must-see TV. He's exciting for many, many different reasons.
Like a YouTube trick shot. No, it's still weird to not see, like, even Ludwig included, the Utah offensive ethos has been like big, smashy, like a sort of 15-mile-an-hour car wreck is kind of how Utah has. But that's not a pejorative. Like, it's worked for them for years.
This is leaning into that because you hired the guy who runs the offense with the running quarterback and brought the running quarterback, and now you put them behind the 2 potential first-round offensive tackles, and you're like, Hulk smash. Yeah.
So it was funny because, like, when I was doing off-season coach gossip, they're like, oh, they're going to a spread. They're like, it was the most scandalous thing in the world. Yeah, but it's still Utah doing it. Like, it's still as big and bulky and like you said, aggressive, Andy. Like, they're still hands down top 5, the most physical team to play on any given Saturday in the Power 4. Like, that still hasn't gone away.
And especially in the Big 12.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. They're the counterpunch to the Texas spread ethos. Like, it's them, and like maybe you could say Iowa State now too.
Iowa State's definitely like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a fascinating matchup. And Ross, I know you've done some research on this. You got a story coming out on these guys. Texas Tech, meanwhile, there's no such thing as more traditional with something that's only existed for 5 years, but Texas Tech did let's just upgrade the talent, period. They liked the quarterback they had, Baron Morton. They liked the offense they were running, so they kept that even though they changed coordinators because Zach Kitley got hired at Florida Atlantic. But they just more across the board hired better players. Utah did it in a very specific way. And so I'm curious to see if that works because here's a good example. David Bailey is probably the highest rated player that Texas Tech went out and got in this portal cycle. And he was an edge rusher at Stanford. He's one that's getting kind of first, second round draft buzz. The knock on him, according to the scouting community, is you can run straight at him. Well, guess what? Spencer Fano is probably the number 1 offensive tackle prospect in the next draft. That's Utah's right tackle. Caleb Lomu is moving up the boards at left tackle. They are going to run straight at this guy. And that'll be that probably will be the thing that decides this. And I'm fascinated to see what happens because this is good on good. And it's really one philosophy of team rebuilding versus another one.
Yeah. And every team that Texas Tech plays this year, the Big 12, will want to beat the living breaks off of them. If the offseason's any judge. I remember swooping into Big 12 Media Day, and I and it was every coach you talked to pointed fingers at Texas Tech.
Wait, like big
for
feelings?
the offseason spending.
Oh, yeah.
They were mad.
I mean,
the broke boys are mad that the rich guy is spending money.
Big mad.
Get good.
Big
Produce billionaires. Have some people play offensive line for you, then have them become billionaires, and then they can buy you a roster too.
I'm going to go actually, like while we're talking, go to grab that story from Big 12 Media Day, which was sort of about like, it was like a very, it was just all the coaches very angry about the situation of rev share and pointing the finger very clearly.
See, the one I heard about, Ross, was obvious. Like the Belichick North Carolina thing was much more that old like Charlie Weiss quote about we're going to come in and be smarter than every coach in college football. And that really pissed off some guys in the ACC. If you are mad because someone is outspending you, I get that you can't control that as a coach, but that's the game, y'all. Like, that's a completely different thing. That the Belichick thing was much more of a personal insult towards coaches. This is just, this is a resource issue,
something you can do about the Belichick thing. There's not much you can do about the Texas Tech thing.
No.
Now you could beat them, but you can't suddenly, if you don't have your own billionaire, you can't suddenly make one.
Ross, I'll push back. And any of those coaches that you talked to that had that acrimony, in a hot second if some booster materialized at their school and So that's why then don't say it.
Absolutely.
That's chapped
Yes.
ass. Like, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Don't say that anonymously to the media and like act like you're so offended when you would take that money in a second.
Of course. And specifically, I was like scanning through sort of Kyle Whittingham's quotes because I was on the phone with somebody last week over at Utah, just sort of about like this game. And again, it was just like a sort of, oh man, we want this one, man. We got to beat the Red Raiders. You know, they're spending all this money and all this stuff. So it's and guess who's going to be there? Of course, Cody Campbell, who's going to be in Salt Lake City.
Good for him.
He's the chair of the board of regents in Texas.
You will
Texas
be
Tech.
there and watching the team play. So there's a lot of angles to this one, and obviously the one to go back to what we were talking about, Devon Dampier and this port-a-hole offense, as Andy
I think your
calls
accent
it.
was better for it, actually.
I want the t-shirt.
Port-a-hole.
Well, because Ross has that Gulf Coast.
Yeah. Well, he was just more rounded on it, and okay. I'm not gonna.
But I was talking to Jason Beck yesterday, and we talked about how this all came to be, and I expect, just because of how guarded coaches are with this stuff, right, about like transferring, and we're the behind the scenes talk about moving jobs, right? They're all very guarded. He was not at all, right? He just put it out there. And this was one of his quotes was when Devon told me he was leaving, because Devon told him he was leaving after their last game at New Mexico. And Jason had been contemplating leaving because he was getting interest too from some power conference programs for a coordinator job. He said, quote, when Dev let me know he was leaving, it at least solidified the idea. It was, let me see if I can go get a job elsewhere and take Dev with me. And boom, right? It happened. And obviously, as Andy said, it happened at Oklahoma. And even 2 years ago, it happened at Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia and
with Tim Beck and Diego Pavia.
Yeah. And I was talking to Clark. All of them kind of are different, though. I feel like Clark, at least Clark Lee says that his goal was to get Tim Beck. And like if Diego came okay,
well,
the Utah
Kill was
thing
retired,
was
so it was a different. You weren't just leaving somebody.
Right. Yeah. And the Utah thing was more of like, in probably Washington or probably Oklahoma too, right? From Washington State, the guys, it was more of like, we're going to get these two guys. And that seems to be a very clear deal. And and also there's a fourth one, Andy. Michigan State. I mean, again, that was a new head coach, but you had the quarterback, Aiden Childs, come over, right, with the coordinator. All those four schools, 3-0.
Yes. And the original version of this was Zach Kitley coming to Western Kentucky from Houston Baptist, and which is now Houston Christian. He brings Bailey Zappi, who then has one of the best seasons a college football quarterback has ever had. That Western Kentucky situation spawned Ben Arbuckle, by the way. Yep. He was the one who replaced Zach Kitley as Western Kentucky's offensive coordinator. And so, he's the one who ended up with John Mateer. He's not the one who recruited John Mateer. Eric Morris recruited John Mateer to Washington State. Eric Morris, who also recruited Cam Ward to Incarnate Word and brought him to Washington State. Mm-hmm. You see where I'm coming with this? Eric Morris is now the head coach at North Texas. He's actually doing it on the other side of the ball, where he hired Skylar Cassidy from Sam Houston State as his defensive coordinator because they needed to fix that. Skylar Cassidy brought 6 defensive starters to Denton, Texas. And guess who's good now?
Who scored more points? The North Texas defense scored more points against Wazoo than Wazoo's offense scored against them. There's someone had +6 Wazoo last week. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
By the way, I finally got my first win. Thank you.
Congrats, buddy.
Finally.
Congrats. Are we all
1 and 2?
So the hook got me.
Oh man.
I said Georgia -3.5, and because they didn't have to kick the extra point after the game, they won by 3.
Oof,
the person I would like to talk to, if I was in sort of still the future writing business, would be Tyson Helton, because I think if you look at the total record now entering his 7th season at Western Kentucky, I know he's been up for some jobs. He could have moved on, whatever. There's some context to being at Western Kentucky for 7 years. Throwing out 2020, he's had basically 9 or 8 wins every season, and he's done it kind of as a means of survival by importing other ideas, other people's schemes, and their players. And he's done it consistently year over year. So the questions I would have really is, head coaches are all about sort of putting their big fingerprint on everything that happens inside of a program. There's a real flexibility and a kind of a diplomacy to constantly doing this and finding success by taking all of those outside ideas while maintaining a consistency inside your program. Because this is antithetical to 20 years of coach speak saying, like, we want consistency in our program. We want our coordinators here for a long, all that kind of stuff. To do this as a means of survival and succeed, because Western Kentucky is basically probably the most consistent, best program that isn't a very well-funded Liberty in their league. So you could say it has worked to success for them in Bowling Green. I'm kind of fascinated. It just goes against like what we were trained up to. But
what did we just say in the last segment when we were talking about Luke Fickell? A superpower as a coach is being able to hire good assistants, and then when you lose them, replace them with even better assistants or equal quality assistants. It is one of the hardest things to do. It's something Nick Saban did over and over and over again.
Yeah,
and
it's also about being good to work for and being making sure that everyone knows, hey, you're in charge. I'm the CEO. There's authority in the room, but we're flexible and I would say almost compassionate. Look, you want to be a guy people want to work for. Okay, Bob Stoops, for however he was received by media or fans, was a guy people wanted to work for.
By the people who worked for him, and I was on the ground floor of that because I was a walk-on at Florida when Stoops was the defensive coordinator.
I love this story.
And so Stoops was coming from the most Stalag-like work environment in the history of the world at Kansas State, where Bill Snyder, if he saw assistants leaving to go to the gas station to get a soda, would put a note on their door saying, "If you leave again, don't come back." Like, that is where he came from. He gets to Florida. Yeah, he gets to Florida where Steve Spurrier is like, "Yeah, we play golf in the off season," and he's like, "Wait." And so, like, the family, like Thursday night after practice, like all the coaches' wives were there and their kids were there, and like they'd have dinner with us, and like Stoops goes, "Wait, you can do this and win?"
Yeah.
And so when he became the head coach at Oklahoma, he married the grinding of the Bill Snyder universe with the "you can do this and have fun" of the Steve Spurrier universe. And it became like, I remember when Lincoln Riley took the OC job there, he'd come from East Carolina, and I was in Norman, and Lincoln goes, "I didn't know it could be like this."
It's not working hard to sort of build on Andy's point. It's not like I don't talk to coaches and they're like, "Oh, I can slack off with this guy." It's not that. They want to work hard because they want to be successful. Most of them want to be head coaches one day. It's working hard with a level of respect and reason. And we're getting to a new point in college football coaching where we're not NFL coaches. This is just not the paradigm. It's very, very different. And I think we're moving towards a pro mindset where, and we don't have to get into this in this segment about GMs and taking the personnel responsibilities off of the staff. But if you can treat guys with respect and then they'll still work hard, then more guys will want to come to work for you. So if you're a fan of a school right now and your head coach, who's kind of like the personality, the statue mentality, and he's struggled to hire assistants, think about that for a second.
It's the way to do it. And speaking of the way to do it, the ACC showed all you leagues the way to do it last weekend.
That segue.
Beck's been doing it all year,
but
everybody really noticed it last weekend. So we're going to have a little lesson to all you other leagues about how you should be televising your games when we come back. Welcome back to the College Football Enquirer. We talk about television here a lot. We got the Yahoo Sports Network now. We got our own television network. So if you want to watch us, turn on your smart TV, hit that icon that says Yahoo Sports Network, turn on College Football Enquirer, or go to yahoosports.tv. Watch us on your tablet or your phone 24/7. But you can always replay us. And you can always hear everything we say because we have nothing to hide. It's a little bit different when you're watching college football. The replay reviews for years and years have been very mysterious. Kind of wondered what's going on. Who's the man behind the curtain? The ACC has lifted the curtain on that this year. They actually started this in week 1, but I don't blame. Did Ross, Godfrey, did either of you watch the East Texas A&M SMU game?
No, I did not.
I think I missed that one.
Yeah, I missed that one too.
Yeah.
So I think that we all missed it. And it became very noticeable. For me, it was Thursday night. So Thursday night, Wake Forest is playing NC State. I'm like, oh boy, a Thursday night ACC game like the good old days. The first time they go to replay, you get to watch the whole thing. What? You can hear what the referee's saying to the replay booth. You can see the ACC command center in Charlotte and you can see all the replays the referee's looking at right now and the decision they're making. And it was cool, but none of those replays really affected the game.
Okay.
Get to Saturday, the Clemson-Georgia Tech game. They're doing it again. This is an ESPN game at noon. It's the best game of that window. Most of college football loving population is watching this game. There's a late score by Clemson. At least we think it's a score. And then you hear this crackling through your TV speakers. This is replay. Stop the game. Stop the game. And it's Todd Evans, the replay official, talking to the referee. And he's saying, reviewing the score, reviewing the catch. And so Adam Savoy, the referee, trots over the little thing. They put it in front of his face. And you get to watch and hear the entire conversation of how this very critical play, because Clemson's trying to tie the game, how this gets officiated, what happened. It's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I can't disagree with it. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
I was taken by your enthusiasm for it, and you did sort of sell it in a pro wrestling way, which is great. Like the ref interrupts the broadcast. This is long overdue. We've talked about conference by conference officiating. I'm trying to figure out if there's a potential downside, and I can't necessarily. I don't really see one.
Here's why I say because the SEC is the most risk averse of this bunch.
Sure,
I'll tell you why they probably, because the first time they get one wrong, even after the replay review, everybody goes nuts. And I talked to some people in the ACC about this, and they said, we know we're going to get one wrong eventually.
Okay.
And that's okay, because we want you to see what we're doing. We don't want you to think this is rigged. We want you to realize this is all on the up and up. We want you to see the professionalism of our see the professionalism of our officials, which I'll tell you the most interesting thing I took away from watching those this weekend, and they've been doing it in select games all season. But I'll point out the Thursday night game and the Clemson-Georgia game were not originally supposed to be these games. It had gone so well, they started adding. I would not be shocked if every ACC televised game has this by the end of the season. But the thing that I thought was the most interesting, and this is probably the football nerd in me, is that when Adam Savoy and the replay official and the team in Charlotte, when they determine it's not really a touchdown, the next thing he does is the clock good? The ball's on the left hash, correct? Second down, correct?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that people don't actually think about. And I loved being able to hear it.
Yeah, no, it was cool. It was really cool. And as a fan, like a viewer, it's awesome. If I was in the replay booth, that wouldn't be as awesome. If I know that I'm being televised to millions of people trying to decide a call.
Yeah.
The people in the replay booth are usually former officials. So they have been in front of millions of people on television making these bang bang decisions before. I don't think the pressure bothers them that much.
No, that is the job. I want to go back to what you said, Andy, as to why the SEC won't embrace it. That's a nice piece of transparency by the ACC, not just doing this, but admitting, hey, it's never going to be perfect. Like we are prepared. Like, can you
imagine the shit show that the Virginia Tech Miami play last year?
Yes.
Like that hearing that replay, because I guarantee you the communication between the referee and the replay official in that instance was, I can't see anything.
But this is like a little kind of like journalism-y 101. Like we want to transfer as much honesty as possible. Like that's sort of our job as communicators. So I think that's why we're all in favor of this. And also it just makes the game more honest and understandable for the audience and for us. So we're all in favor of that. But you can't use our fans are too passionate as an excuse. I don't want to hear that.
Right.
Fans are passionate everywhere. And also, if you literally brand your league as it just means more, which is like sort of a homogenized version of like our fans are absolutely insane, we're going to burn your house down, which is what they did. They kind of classed that up. They PG'd that up. Then you can't use that as a, it can't be an excuse and a cudgel. And so there's no reason why this shouldn't happen in an Alabama-Georgia game next year. There's no reason whatsoever. And I do think, Andy, Alabama fans, even just to pick on them, would appreciate this transparency more than they would be incensed by it. I think every SEC fan base
the
would.
lunatics are always going to be the lunatics. So it doesn't matter whether you show them this or don't show them this. They will always believe everything's rigged. They will always think that there's somebody out to get them.
So don't answer the fringe, basically.
Yeah, it's the other 98% of people that are going to be like, oh, well, that seems completely reasonable. I understand how they came to that conclusion. And so I texted with Sam Schwartzstein, who, if you watch the Thursday night Amazon NFL games, he's Amazon's basically tech guru with the NFL. They have the technical broadcast where you get to see all the analytics in real time and everything. So Sam was Andrew Luck's center at Stanford. When they rebooted the XFL in 2020, Sam was kind of the big ideas guy that Oliver Luck hired. And one of his big ideas was, we're going to show replay. Now, he wasn't the only one thinking this. The Alliance of American Football, which also played that year and actually played before the XFL, in select games, they did it too. But Sam basically did what you saw the ACC do, where you have the entire array from DV Sport of here are all the angles that they have available to them. Sam was the first one to make that part of the television broadcast. And I said, how was the situation then? He said it was different in the XFL because they just wanted traction. So they figured anything that could differentiate them, everybody was cool with.
Yeah. A lot of that stuff they did in the XFL was really like Cole Kubelik going into the locker rooms. I don't know if we're going to do that in college, but like they did.
They would let you hear the
things.
play calling. They would let you hear the coach calling in the place.
That's not going to happen. Yeah.
The TV guys, like there's a meeting every like off season with the all the TV guys and all the college football playoff, executive officials, and it happened this past spring again, and I think it was in Dallas, and every year the TV guys ask for more. Right, they ask for more. Like, can we mic up this? Can we mic up that? Can we film this? Can we film that? And I feel like every year, the CFP gives a little more and a little more and a little more. So eventually, maybe we'll get there. But how about the ACC opening the door not just for uneven revenue distribution within their league, but now we sort of have this too. The ACC, who would have thunk it, paving the way for some changes in transparency and a different way of thinking in college football.
Ross, I would quid pro quo to get replay official access and maybe a couple other things I can't think of this second. And I would give back what I assume TV's asking for, Ross, which is like, we need the coach on the sideline during the commercial break.
Let's end
let's
86 that.
It's awful.
Yeah, in the in-quarter coach interview, we don't need it. And we'll take more replay access.
Trying to think of what the big one was they asked for this past spring. I think of it at some point, but like the CFP was like, no, you cannot do that. It was probably something in the locker room. Gosh, I can't remember, but the whole in-season or in-game interview is terrible.
I think half the coaches would agree to having their locker room speeches taped either before the game or at halftime, as long as you bleep some stuff out. Because like Nebraska,
they're using it now.
That Matt Rule speech that happened to have bleeps in it. Like
bleeps, yes.
It was also shot on 8K. They just, your leaked footage happened to have a professional crew shoot it. It's crazy how that happened. It was leaked.
Now I will say that listen,
everything is
have
pro
great
wrestling.
cameers on them now, but.
No, that thing was edited though. It had light correction on it. Like,
there were jump cuts and So
someone got a white balance.
I think half the coaches would actually agree to that because I think they understand it's a good recruiting tool. But no, I don't need the coach interview after the quarter. That doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't give me anything. I actually am. I am nervous for the coach and the sideline reporter at the same time.
I'm nervous for the reporter. Absolutely.
Last night I watched Todd Bowles, and I can't remember who the sideline reporter was, but just Todd Bowles with
it was Laura Rutledge.
Yes, who's great at her job, fantastic reporter. And Todd Bowles had the teeth gritting patience of a parent of a 5-year-old who won't stop talking. Like, and she's there because it's her job.
The right question because at that point they were having multiple injuries at right tackle.
Yeah.
And they were putting in the last possible option. So Todd Bowles is sitting there thinking, my quarterback's about to get sacked 6 more times tonight. Please don't ask me about this. But Laura asked the right question.
In game, he can't. I don't expect as a member of the media, in game to sort of like to elucidate your strategy when you are about to go to another set of like first like that's we're cutting this too close with coaches.
I don't need that. Just give me the replay review. If the NFL would break the seal on the replay review, because I would actually love to know what that sounds like, because the NFL has a different system that I think some of the college football leagues are trying to adopt now. But the NFL has a system where they have the command center in New York. And if there's like an obvious missed call, or like, let's say they misspot the ball by a yard. Let's say the runner's down on the 29, but they spotted it on the 28. They just get in the referee's ear and go, you got that wrong, spotted on the 29.
Yeah. What was
I'd love to hear that.
Who got suspended? We suspended a crew 2 weeks ago, guys.
Big 12 suspended the crew that did the Kansas-Missouri game.
Yeah.
So to that end, I think this would not, I'm not thinking about policing the officials. I'm thinking that if you had more of this in-game transparency, I think fans would learn more, which would be a blessing for those of us who work in the media.
And understand how hard the official's job is more.
Yes. And so I think the refs screwed us moments would be received with more context, which would be nice.
Context is always great. And that is what we endeavor to provide here at the College Football Enquirer. If anything, we are your podcast of context. That's the t-shirt, right? The podcast of context.
Sell like hotcakes, baby.
It's like the NPR book bag of college football podcast t-shirts.
Are we the NPR book bag of college football podcasts?
Yes.
I'll take the sport coat off. Okay. It just sits in the, I just put it on. I have a t-shirt on like
Godfrey,
you guys.
It doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't make us not the NPR book bag of college football podcasts. That's what we are. I say we embrace it. Like when I went down the offensive coordinator's named Beck rabbit hole.
Yeah.
The Tim Beck, but not that Tim Beck. That's
Ross kind of has a Terry Gross cadence. I'm more of a Lakshmi Singh, like it's out. Yeah. Ross has a very soothing NPR voice.
I'll never forget the first time I went on NPR and the host and the producer were talking back and forth before we started recording the interview. And the host was like, I want to make sure I'm not popping my peas. And this is before I had worked for SiriusXM, before I did a show every day. And I was like, I've never once thought if I'm popping my peas.
I went on with Audie Cornish on Morning Edition one time, and it was the best sound. I was in a booth at the local public radio station here. It sounded amazing. Also, we talk so much faster than they do.
Yeah, they're really slow.
They're professionally trained talkers.
Yes. Well, and a lot of retired folks listening and just wanting to go apple picking. And
except that one show so fast. That one show that's on there is a little faster. When they play the game, what is it called?
Wait, don't tell me.
Yes. That's it. I like that game. All right.
Exactly where we thought this segment would end. We'll see y'all next.
Exactly. Right. So thank you so much for watching and listening to the NPR book bag of college football podcasts. We'll be back on Thursday talking some incredible games. We talked a little Texas Tech, Utah already. Probably talk some more about that. Auburn, Oklahoma. How about we talk a little Michigan at Nebraska? A lot going on there. Sharon Moore is suspended the entire week. Also, how big would this game be for Nebraska? Oh, wait. Godfrey? You know, we always bring it back around.
What's that?
Sharon Moore, lake guy or beach guy?
Beach. I'm calling it
there
beach.
Right now.
Beach.
Wonder if he's there right now while suspended. We'll answer that question on Thursday on the College Football Enquirer.
I'm going to text around. Beach guy.